So, I'm going to be talking about MistServer, which probably most of you have heard of over the last few months because of the Livepeer acquisition. Is there a problem? We're good? Okay. Yes, that's me. And I am the lead for MistServer. And the thing is, oh, hang on, not so fast. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so what I've been doing the past few months since Livepeer acquired MistServer is I've been talking a lot to the video world, where I am very well ingrained um, about what Web3 is, and getting them up to speed on how Livepeer works and how you can do transcoding using this cool network and all that stuff. You guys know about all that. I don't need to talk about that. But what you guys don't know about is the video world, or at least not as much, I hope, I think, maybe, we'll see. So I'm going to do the inverse here. I'm going to introduce what MistServer is and does within the world of video to a world of Web3 people. All right, so now you can go to the next one. It's just, yeah, you've heard of MistServer, you've heard it's a media server, but you're probably still confused. Okay, and that confusion is logical because you've heard it's a media server, but, next slide, it's not a media server. Well, it's a media toolkit. However, next slide. Yes, it is a media server. There's going to be a lot of next slide. Anyway, it is a media server, but that it being a media server is just a technicality in the sense that we had to create a media server to build a toolkit. In the sense that you need something tangible to actually send the media to and get the media from in order to work with media. And if you want to work with media, as in you want to have a toolkit to work with media, that means you need to have a media server to do it. So it's a means towards an end. Next one. Yes. So what is a media toolkit exactly? Because that's a great word. It sounds really useful, but I think everyone's like, what is that actually? Like, if you get down to the nitty-gritty of it. Well, media is and has been for a while now booming, and most developers unfortunately have no idea how to actually work with media itself. Like, they love using media in their work, like putting videos in something, putting audio in something, putting images in something. All of these are media, right? Metadata I consider media as well, but let's not go too much into it. They know and love how to work with it in the sense that putting it in something, but they don't know how to work with the actual media itself. And that is a problem because I think, next slide. Yes, a small group of people has the know-how and ability, and it doesn't fit because this is a 4:3 screen and this was made for a 16:9. But I can say the rest. A small group of people has the know-how and ability to actually work with media and understands like what MP4 is, what all the little bytes in there mean, and how to package things so that they work on all devices and stuff like that. But these people, this small group of people, there's probably a couple hundred of them, they work for big companies like Google, Facebook, etc., Livepeer, you know, those companies. And those big companies can afford these experts, but small startups, the people that you actually want to have this knowledge, they can't afford to hire these people because they're very highly paid people because they're such a small group. So, next slide, I think. Yes. What a media toolkit does, it provides the tools to non-media engineers, for example, web developers, more text, so they can build media-related projects and solutions without needing much domain knowledge about the media itself. So it empowers these people that want to use video, that want to use audio and other media forms in some other project, or provide some cool new thing or solution that works with media without actually needing to know about media itself from a technical aspect. So it helps people, it makes the media software and solutions accessible to a wider group of developers, also to developers that are just developers in general and don't have any expertises, or expertises in different areas. Next slide. Yes, so you can think of it as a kind of a do-it-yourself kit for media. Next, yes. It provides everything you need and that flexibility to succeed and be unique by providing tools that make the common tasks effortless as possible, and thus opening up the space to do that one thing you're good at. I think that might actually be the next slide. Yes, that. See, there we go. Freeing up time for developers to focus on what they do best, rather than reinventing the wheel again and again and again. You can focus on what makes your wheel better than other wheels, right? You might put spikes on your wheels or neon lights or whatever, but the principles of the wheel stay the same. And we provide in Media Toolkit MistServer, we provide that basic wheel, and we make it in such a way that it's very easy to attach other things to it, to attach those neon lights or the spikes or whatever you want to put on that wheel. I don't know, my metaphor is getting away from me. But to do those things and not focus on the wheel itself, but on what you are creating on top of the wheel that makes it better, that makes it special, that makes it work in a particular scenario. Right, next one. Yes, so what is MistServer not? It is not a ready-made product, but you can use it to assemble ready-made products, right? It's not a framework or a workflow like there's lots of JavaScript frameworks and stuff like that. It's none of that. It's none of that. You make all the choices. It doesn't lock you down to a particular way of working or stuff like that. No. It works with you in your way. So it opens up new things that might have been locked to you before. It is not the answer to media problems. It is a collection of answers. It gives you maybe 10 or 20 ways to solve a particular problem, and you get to pick if you like that way or that way better, or if you want to do some combinations or go half-half with two particular solutions. Nor is it a service, but it makes it really easy to build a service yourself on top of all these tools. So hopefully that provides a little bit of context. Right, let's go to the next one. So you can think of it as like cheat codes for development, and developers love cheating, right? I'm not sure how many of you here are developers. Can we have a show of hands? Okay, so half-ish maybe. So for those that are not, developers love cheating in the sense that if something's already made, if they can get it from Stack Overflow and just copy-paste that, awesome, right? If there's already something out there that does it and it does everything the way they do it, awesome, let's use that. Well, that's what we're providing. We're providing those cheat codes for development that let them work faster and better. And here's some examples of what we do. And I figured I would spare you and not make all of these a click through. So I'm going to go one by one-ish and try to talk about what these mean and what they do. So the main thing that we started with is transmuxing, which is converting between different media formats and protocols. So you might start with an MP4, you might want to turn to an RTMP stream, or the other way around, or just between two different file formats, or two different streaming formats, etc., etc. We make that simple. So we provide the tools that can convert from A to B, B to A, and A to the rest of the alphabet. We provide automation. That's the second thing that we try to focus on. We provide both an event-based and polling-based workflow. And for those that are not developers, and since that is half the room, I will explain. Event-based means that something happens and you react to it. So for example, someone starts streaming, you recognize the stream, you send it somewhere else, or you transcode it, or you put some overlay on it, whatever, you react to what's happening. Well, polling-based means that you can, whenever you like, look into what is the current state of something, like is someone online or is someone not online, is someone's bitrate a particular level or not, whatever. You can examine the properties of something at any point you like and then do something based on that. So often in software you have either of those workflows, and sometimes they kind of mingle together a little bit, but usually both of those let you get anywhere you want. So it gets out of the way, lets you do either. It gives you insight in the sense of analytics, so being able to see how many people are watching a stream, how many people are broadcasting, what is the data about the stream, what's the bitrate, how many qualities are there, what kind of people are watching, from where, how long, that kind of stuff. But they also provide analyzers and media inspection debugging tools, so that if you're working with media and you need to see, why is this one file not working? I have no idea. You can run it through one of the analyzers, part of the MistServer toolkit. And it will tell you in normal plain English, oh, this is what's inside there. And you can compare it to another file and see what's inside there and see, oh, these are different in that particular aspect. That must be the problem. And that's something that, you know, the big companies have been hoarding. Like, they've been keeping these tools for themselves, and we're just giving them away for free now. We also provide compatibility. Like, for a while we were marketing this in the sense that if it has a screen and or speakers, you can send media to it. It can be a phone, it can be a smart TV, it can be a gaming console, it can be someone's smartwatch, whatever. If it can play media, we can give you a way to send media to it or get media from it in many cases. It also provides future-proofing in the sense that new protocols and techniques and codecs are continuously being developed by the industry as a whole. Well, we commit to keeping this toolkit up to date with the industry evolving, which means that if something new comes out, there's a very high chance that the toolkit already has compatibility for it, and all you have to do is turn it on. And you don't have to develop anything new, or you don't have to figure out how anything new works. Yeah, there keeps coming more. Testing in sense of load testing, and as in you can see, okay, what if I do 1,000 views to this particular stream, what happens? We provide tools for that. But also all of the above are part of testing as well. You can use automation to test, you can use analytics to test, etc. So it's not just load testing, but also using all of those other things for testing as well as actually running things. And as the last two, we have stability in the sense that it helps build systems that automatically recover from problems, or don't completely fall over, but just kind of hobble along when something is impossible. And we also provide backwards compatible APIs and have done so for the last 10 years, and we will continue to do so, which means that if you build something, that the new version of it is still gonna work. And that's a big problem in in tech industry, that new things are created, and then because they're new, they no longer work with the old. Well, we commit to making things that still work with the old methods, even though we provide new things within those old methods. And then the last one, it's also free and open. Free is in freedom in the sense that we don't do vendor lock-in, we have a low barrier to entry, and we don't force you to use a particular workflow or particular programming language. It literally works with anything. But also free is in no cost in the sense of, free beer as opposed to that. This is something that in especially the open source community is often mentioned, that there's a difference between free and free. Free is in cost and free is in freedom. And we provide both of those as well. Right, so that's a little intro on what MistServer will do. So how is this sustainable? Well, we help power Livepeer by providing the building blocks for further services. So most of what Livepeer does and the things around Livepeer, they are in a way either helped by MistServer or built on top of MistServer, etc. And of course, MistServer itself also has paid support plans so that you can get direct access to the engineers and the industry know-how behind MistServer if you're building something. But in many cases, someone that is building something is a startup, they can't afford that. Well, we still provide the tools for free, but if you want the team to help you, then you have to cough up some money because the electricity needs to stay on, stuff like that. Okay, next one. So what is MistServer? Well, it's kind of nothing and everything, right? In the sense that MistServer itself really doesn't do anything. I mean, it does let you run streams if you want to, but you almost always have to provide something else to make it do whatever you want to do, right? So it's nothing and everything. And next slide. Yes, it is the engine that powers your creativity within the media world. So it's not about what can MistServer do for you, it's what can MistServer help you do. That is what it is about. And then last slide, I think. Yes, so if you have questions, talk to me. I'm around all day today. I have been talking to many of you already, so yay. And I'm also available on the Livepeer Discord as Thelina. I'm one of the fancy green names because, Livepeer team. So yeah, that's it. Questions? Come on, I never get questions. Anyone? Yes. Well, that's a tricky question because it depends on your choices, right? That's part of the whole freedom thing. Depending on what protocols you pick and what parts of the workflow you activate and deactivate, latency can be anywhere between 100-ish milliseconds plus, ping, or a minute or more, depending on what you're doing. So anything. Yes. There are a lot of common use cases. One we've seen the last few years come up a lot is what we call user-contributed content, which is YouTube-like and Twitch-like platforms where the users contribute the content, hence the name. And this requires a lot of automation, a lot of processing, and there's a lot of startups that are doing like niche areas. Like for example, this was mentioned before, Picarto does art streaming. Well, that's like Twitch, but for art. A lot of that X, but for Y stuff that is niche markets, they need that automation level that we can provide without needing the big team that you would otherwise need to build it. So that's a common one. But there are more. Yes. They can be, yeah. But here too, it's the same answer. Depends on how you use it, right? So configured well, it could run on the smallest little computer with practically no memory. In fact, we've used MistServer to build media solutions on top of IP cameras, which have practically zero memory and practically zero CPU, and that works. But other people will not care about the memory usage and the CPU usage and just want to do as much as possible on a big, bulky machine. So whatever you want to configure it for. I guess this is my answer to everything. Yes.
Like a lot of complexity that MistServer kind of solves is because of the proliferation of standards in the video space at every point in the chain. Is that something you see improving and consolidating?
Well, what I've been seeing following this industry for the last 10 years or so is that this is getting progressively worse. Which is great news for the MistServer toolkit, because it means more people will want to use it, because this is getting worse and worse and worse. I wish it got better, in the sense that, you know, in a way of, I would like the world to be a nice place. I wish it got better, but in terms of providing a good spot for MistServer to continue to exist and be developed, that's good news, I guess. Yeah.
What would it take to be able to run MistServer in the browser?
Don't. No, don't. You could use WebAssembly to compile it into a JavaScript module, but the main thing that Mist does is talk all these protocols, right? Like for transmixing between storage formats, yes, that kind of makes sense. But the thing is, the protocols require direct access to TCP and UDP sockets, and browsers just don't give you that. So you would be stripping away about maybe half or 2/3 of Mist functionality by running it in a browser, simply because of the restrictions a browser has. So, easy, but don't. Time's up. Okay, cool. Well, then no more questions, I guess.